Yo guys, welcome back to another video, and we'll be resuming my how to play brawler guides with my personal favorite, my main, and one of the most requested from you guys, and it is Melodie. I absolutely love Melodie. She is so much fun to play, definitely high skill, but yeah, we're gonna go through her builds today, her matchups, maps, and then some gameplay to show you guys how to play her correctly. And yeah, we already got her Prestige 2. She was my first Prestige 2 because, I don't know, I love Melodie so much. I also got Kenji like, literally just yesterday, but yeah, trying to get all my brawlers up to Prestige 3 eventually. But without further ado, let's hop into her build. Now, I generally recommend that most people who play Melodie should use Interlude because the shield is just like a base shield. If you have 3 notes, 30% shield, 2 notes, 20%, and so on. And this also stacks with your Hyper, which I'll show you guys in the training cave. But this gadget is also good. Perfect Pitch, when you're playing against like tanks or brawlers that you don't necessarily want to get that close to, then Perfect Pitch is actually pretty good. Like, not many people use it because they find it difficult to use, but you know, like short cooldown and actually does a good amount of damage with how much faster that they go. So I would definitely recommend buying both gadgets, but especially if you're just starting to play Melodie, I will recommend Interlude because you're most likely going to be using Interlude most of the time. This gadget takes a little bit more skill. Then for the star power, always use fast beats. It's just such a good, like that movement speed really helps you. Like once you get like one shot, it has you snowball and get your 2 shots, 3 shots, because to play Melodie, you're focusing on getting your notes at all times. So yeah, this is one's very good. Extended mix, there's no point in it whatsoever. This star power needs to be reworked, and it probably will be when she gets a Buffy, but yeah, always use fast beats. Then for gears, I'm always running damage and shield. In some cases in heist, there or even bounty, if you're playing against some like a slower kind of matchup, I will go off damage gear and use health instead. But for the most part, you should always use damage shield. And then the hyper, it's very good, and I think it is worth spending your coins on. It is one of the more high value hypers in the game, so definitely a good one to have. But let's hop into the training cave and show you guys the basics with Melodie. Alrighty, so Melodie, guys. When you have one super, you end up getting a 3. But let me just show you guys supercharge rate, because you always want to make sure like you know how many notes until you get your next super. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it takes 5 notes to actually get your super. But every single one of these notes that hits is also going to do the exact same. So if we hit this one, that's another 1/5, that, another 1/5, and boom, another 1/5. So they all do the same. The only thing that's different is the hypercharge notes, which will only, let me see if I can do this properly. If I go like this, they only charge you, like it's very small, but if you're on a target with multiple of those hyper notes going around, you'll get a good amount of charge. But for the most part, you're not really going to be charging much more of your super from your hyper notes. So anyways, I'm on perfect pitch right now, and perfect pitch makes so they go wider and they go faster. So pretty much means that you can do damage to them from much further away. So like I said, it's a lot more like higher skilled, but it's definitely still really good. And the more you play Melodie, the more I encourage you to also try out this gadget, because I definitely think it's very strong and most people think it is as well. But anyways, if you're on a stationary target, let's think the heist safe. Notice how your notes are going around you in a clockwise direction. That means if you're also going in a clockwise direction, look, like you're not doing damage that frequently. But if you go the opposite direction, notice how like the damage or ticks are coming in much faster. That's how, I don't know, common sense works. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, very good. And of course, like I said, the hypercharge gives you 1 extra note. It's not always going to be perfectly spaced around. I just managed to do that like pretty luckily, but sometimes it can be clustered together depending on the timing of your hyper supers. But yeah, definitely very strong. You can combo this also with the interlude gadget. So let me just get my hyper back real quick so I can go like this, and then I can do that and it'll affect all of your notes. So Yeah, definitely a pretty good gadget. But yeah, next thing for Melody is how to actually use your dashes. So there's many ways to use it as you see fit, but in terms of doing damage versus opponents, you typically, so if this is my opponent, let me get my notes first. You don't want to dash into them. See, it does damage just because my note was right in front of me at the time. But the most consistent way to get damage with your Melody is you want to be dashing to the side of them. When you're dashing to the side, you're almost always guaranteed to get, yeah, I'm getting those 2 ticks of 1840. You're almost always going to get that when you're dashing to the side of them. So when you're trying to dash on someone, always make sure you're dashing to the side. And you also want to be going against your notes. So if I'm going like this, that's going against my notes. I don't want to be going the other direction like this. It's gonna, you see how like my notes are traveling backwards into the opponent? What you want is for them to be going into your opponent like this. So yeah, that's also a good thing to keep in mind when you're playing your Melody. You just want to be able to get the maximum damage at all times. And it's mobility, right? It's movement. So you can use it to dodge attacks and, stuff like that. One important thing to note is that let's say you have your 3 dashes, right? I'm going to use one of them. I'm going to use another one. And I now only have 1 dash left. Now, something that you need to keep in mind is in any game mode, Brawl, Ball, Heist, whatever you want, Knockout, if you have 1 or 2 supers left, like dashes, you'll respawn without your dashes. You're gonna have 0 supercharge as well. If you have your 3, of course, you never touch your super, you're gonna respawn with your super. But look, so right now I still had my 1 charge. Now I'm gonna die, and you guys are gonna see. Oh, it's because it's training cave. I gave me all 3, but when that actually happens, you're only going to have like no supercharge. So keep that in mind. Like when you're using your supers, make sure you don't waste them, because especially in a higher level, when you're wasting your dashes, they can take a good amount of time to get. So gotta be very careful like when and how you're using them. And then just for the interlude gadget, so it's 10% shield for every note. So I pop this, I get 760 health, and that's just with 1 note, and the shield decays pretty slowly, so it's pretty strong. But I'm gonna wait for my gadget to recharge here, and I'm gonna show you guys like how much more that you can shield, because the hyper notes actually do stack. So we're gonna go like this, and then I pop my shield, we get 4,500 shield. So that's 10% for 6 notes. You get a 60% shield. So that's like one of the best ways to combo your hypercharge, because of course like the shield is just so good. And shield on Melody is very strong because it lets you just get up close and personal to your opponents and just do massive damage. Now when you're on like someone like either stationary like a boss or the heist safe, or even just like another opponent like a Frank, what you want to do as you're circling around them, you don't just want to like not do anything. You can keep doing damage, and it'll consistently spawn an extra note. Just because you have 3 notes does not mean you're spawning no more notes. You're still like spawning a note, you're just refreshing the duration of it. So if you just keep attacking, you're gonna keep like popping up like more 1840s, of course the 920s. And if you're standing on top of them as well, notice I do 2 760 there. It's not necessarily a bug, it's because that's the spawning of your note combined with the damage that you did. So if someone is like right on top of you, don't be scared to just hit them. It'll do 2760 every single time. So yeah, definitely like really strong. So that's some other things to like keep in mind with like high health targets. Even if someone like if you're on low health and they're like trying to chase you, you can just go literally on top of them and do 2 760 like with 1 shot. So another thing that you should probably keep in mind when you're playing Melody. And for the most part, I think that is it for the basics. Now for her matchups, this meta is pretty bad for Melody. Unfortunately, it makes Prestige 3 a little bit difficult, but yeah, Heist is still going to be her best, but I'll go on into that later. Her matchups are a little weird. Tanks do very good into her, albeit not Frank. You do pretty good into Frank. And BB's busted right now, but typically a really skilled Melody will beat BB. But yeah, the everyone else, like Trunk is probably the best counter to Melody. It's very good. That's when you have to use perfect pitch. If you're not on perfect pitch, you will never ever kill a Trunk. Ever. The matchup with Buster is weird because if he supers, if like if a Buster uses his shield directed towards you, it strips you of all your notes, similar to how a Cordelius Realm does the same thing to you. So Buster is a really, really good into Melody as well. But against Buster, that's actually a time where you want to use the shield gadget, because that's typically just one extra Buster shot, and you might be able to kill him before that. But if he has a shield, like I said, he can just strip you of your notes completely. Actually, Melody's very good into Ollie, because Ollie doesn't have much damage, and his shots are hard to hit, so you can always just dash around them. And yeah, the rest of the tanks do counter. As for the other assassins, of course, Melody's an assassin, but pretty much every assassin here is very good into Melody, albeit not Kaze. I typically will pick a Melody into Kaze because the Melody, like if the Kaze is going into you, the Kaze is always going to be taking damage, and you feed your nodes super fast. And when you have your supers, it's actually, Kaze is one of the easiest brawlers to kill with your Melody supers and your nodes, so good thing to keep in mind. And with Kenji, it can be a little bit weird, but the Kenji typically wins that matchup. Yeah, for the most part, these assassins do very good, especially Buzz. Buzz is a strong one, and Sam, just like, it's way too much health with Melody to deal with, and you have to get up close and personal. Like I said, if that's the case, you should use the perfect pitch gadget, but it does take some skill to get used to. Now, supports, of course, as an assassin, Melody does pretty decent to the supports. Maybe not Doug, but the rest of these, yes, Melody can be pretty good into, because she can just dash right on top of them. We gotta be careful, though, of things like Gust Shields, Pam taking away your ammo, and stuff like that. For the controllers, Melody can do okay into these. The Meeple stun can be pretty annoying. Lou can, like with his new buffs, he can freeze you pretty quickly, but as a Melody, you should just be dashing around him anyways. So for the most part, you should be doing pretty good into these brawlers, because you can easily bait out like their supers, like a Charlie Cocoon, a Willow Mind Control, an Otis Mute, all that kind of stuff. Another one of the best counters for Melody is Amber, because of her gadget Dancing Flames, because not only does it do more damage than a Melody note, it rotates slightly fast. Like, it's very, very small, but slightly faster, and you will do more damage to the Melody than the Melody does to you, and you'll kill the Melody first 100 times out of 100, unless the Melody just skill diffs you completely. But yeah, Amber with Dancing Flames, one of the best counters to Melody. Now, oh, dude, Sirius is so broken, bro. All right, for the damage dealers, Melody can do pretty good. Really, really good into Carl. Very good. 8-Bit is amazing counter to Melody because of his range and the damage. Like, once you get a turret as well behind you, you just can't push up on his lane. Think like on Bridge Too Far in Heist, or even sometimes in Safe Zone. But all it takes is the Melody to get one super, and it changes the game completely, especially in those Heist maps I just talked about. So you got to be careful when you're playing 8-Bit into Melody, because yes, on paper, 8-Bit should be winning. But if the Melody gets one good set of dashes, you can very easily kill the 8-Bit, because he's locked in his shooting animation for a little bit. And if he uses extra credits as well, then he's low-key cooked. But yeah, got to be very careful with that. I actually like playing Melody into Colette, because you feed your nodes very quickly, especially your hypercharge, and you're just able to dash around her shots and juke stuff, and her super is almost never going to get complete value versus a Melody, so yeah, I think it's pretty safe. Lola's a very good counter to Melody. Once again, that range thing, just making it very hard to get your notes, typically on the maps that you play Melody, thinking like Bridge Too Far and stuff like that. You don't really see Pearl in this meta, but Pearl's pretty good into Melody. Tara's pretty good into Melody. Most of these brawlers are actually pretty decent into Melody. And yeah, I actually do think Melody is good into Mina, because you can dash around the Mina shots, and you can get up close to her, and because it's really hard to hit the 4K in her sequence. So if you dodge that, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill. Then for the marksman, of course, she is very good into the marksman. Yes, the range, but just got to dodge just a couple of shots, get your notes from someone, and you can dash on them very easily with almost no repercussions. And then, of course, as an assassin, will do pretty good at counting the artillery, but she does need to get a super first. So if you can keep her hard stuck, then you can still play a thrower into him. But it's sort of like when you're playing against a Shade and you're picking a thrower to keep him hard stuck. If they get one super, then you lose. Just one, because they're going to keep cycling it after that. So always got to be mindful and very careful when you're playing up against a Melody, because one set of supers can definitely change the game. But yeah, let's hop into her maps and modes. All right, so like I said, she's not great right now in this meta, unfortunately, because she's getting power crept like crazy. But whoopsies. Hard Rock Mine, no. I just it's like, Melody's not a bad brawler. It's just all the meta brawlers are just stupidly broken right now. But you could force her on Hard Rock as a lane, but most of the lanes in this map will low-key cook you. Even a brawler like Ruffs will just outrange you and use the walls against you, so I'm not gonna recommend it. What other? Double Swoosh, also I think there's too much grass for Melody. You don't really like grass as a Melody. And then the other one is Deathcap Trap. Better, probably her best one, but I still would not advise it. Like, your hypercharge can be used to assassinate the gem carrier. That's like the one thing that's keeping me from saying don't play her in gem grab, but I'm not gonna recommend it. Bounty is better. Shooting Star is a very good map for her. She's very, very good in the mid, especially versus other popular mids. Think Ollie, think Kaze. So yeah, and Carl as well. Can also play her into some throwers in some cases, but like I said, they can keep you hard stuck if you're not playing well. So yeah, good map though. Shooting Star is a good map for her. Layer Cake can also be a pretty good map into those same kind of brawlers like Kaze, Ollie, and Carl. So yeah, I do think Melody's pretty good on Layer Cake, but still you gotta have the right team comp. And then what's the other comp map? Layer Cake, Shooting Star, and Hideout. Also, very good map for Melody because brawlers like Kaze, Ollie, Carl. You're gonna see me say that a lot. Those are like the three like golden matchups as a Melody. Like, you will win those matchups like almost all the time. So yeah, you just gotta be playing well. And I think this is a very good map for her. Once again, you can play her mid because she doesn't have the most. Like, she has good range, not the most range, but it's good enough that she can hold her own with those walls in the middle. And you're typically going to pay her up with some sort of support, whether it be a Gus or maybe a Byron, even just a Bell to hold for Blue Star. So yeah, there's some good team comps that you can run there. But Bounty, definitely a good mode for her. I completely skipped over Heist. My bad. By far her best mode. Safe Zone, very strong on Safe Zone. Just Heist in general, she's going to be very good. So yeah, if you're planning to play her, banning brawlers like Amber is pretty good. Banning brawlers like 8-Bit maybe. But if you can get like a Bell on your team, you can almost let them have the Amber. Me personally, I don't really care who I'm playing Melody into. I will just skill diff regardless. That is just how I play Melody. But for the most part, you want to ban those kind of hard counters. And yeah, but like I said, if you have like a Brock and a Melody on your team versus a 8-Bit and an Amber, like, the Brock has such a free game that you can sacrifice having less good matchups because, like I said, one super on Melody changes the game completely. And the other map is Bridge Too Far in competitive. Again, good map, less so because of how open it is, and you can get very, very hard stuck versus specifically brawlers like 8-Bit, Lola. Those brawlers can do very, very good into Melody on here. And also Amber has like a very free time on here. Although you guys do have the same-ish range, so the Melody will get your notes and can just switch lanes if she wants onto like another matchup or double stack. There's a lot of strategies that come into it. But for the most part, still, like, as Heist, she's gonna be very, very strong here. But Safe Zone and but wait, what's the other map? Wait, it's Safe Zone, Bridge Too Far. Oh, and Hot Potato. Dude, I'm like, what am I doing, bro? But yeah, Hot Potato, also pretty good for her. There are some bushes. So Amber actually has a pretty good matchup in terms of this map as well. Like, Amber will almost always be killing the Melody here. But like I said, brawlers like Kaze are also pretty prevalent here. Carl as well. And even brawlers like now, like BB and Bull, I actually think you're fine into Bull because you'll never die to the Bull as long as you're like far away. Because by the time the Bull gets his super, you've already gotten yours a while ago, and you can just dash away, ignore, go on safe, because you're going to be having some sort of tank counter or defender on your team. So definitely still good on Hot Potato. But yeah, Heist, S tier, amazing on Heist. Brawl Ball, when she first came out, she's actually pretty decent on Brawl Ball. Right now, I think she's pretty bad. I mean, she can still work. Like, you can use your supers, get really good goals. She has such high mobility. But she's also a pretty good defender because it's hard to walk it in versus a Melody, similar to like a Maisie or a Willow. But Sneaky Fields, I wouldn't advise. Like, I think it's way too much grass. Pinhole Punt, better. Still a lot of grass, but better. And then Super Beach, good. Good on Super Beach. You can get some really cheeky goals with your super from spawn as well. But once again, it takes a lot more skill on a game like Brawl Ball because you have to win those individual 1v1s. And they can be pretty hard because there's a lot of tanks in here, and tanks typically don't spell great news for Melodie because you're not going to be seeing like Ollie. You're going to be seeing like the Trunks. And you do counter Frank typically, but I see a lot of people losing to Frank as a Melodie, which makes me sad. You should not be losing that, but yeah, it still happens. Hot Zone. Hot Zone is actually pretty good because you get those invincibility shields as you're respawning, and you can just go straight on the zone, cycle your super, cycle zone time. So it works out really well, actually. Open Business is one of those maps for it. She can actually be pretty good on here because you can just dash up, make a lot of space. Very good into prominent mids now, like Bo. Actually can be pretty solid into Pam. And yeah, just pretty good in general. Also good anti-thrower when you get your notes. Dueling Beetles, also pretty good for her. A little bit harder to get straight in the zone with your supers unless you have a wall break on that left L, but it's still fine. And then Ring of Fire, also pretty good on this map. There is a good amount of grass, but I think it's not in such a disadvantageous spot for her to get value. So I think she's fine in Ring of Fire. Best mode, definitely Open Business in Hot Zone. And then I would say Ring of Fire, then Dueling Beetles. Now for knockout, don't don't play around knockout. Just please don't. Please don't play around knockout. All right, now I'm just gonna show you guys some stream footage, which you guys should definitely watch my streams, twitch.tv/sunnybs. And because it's too hard to get a game right now. The matchmaking is awful, but I did record most of my games before getting Prestige 2 Melodie. So I'm just gonna show you guys that, and